Welcome to episode 9 of Building Modular Dreams. I'm Andrew Copley, Business Development Partner at AJC Modular.
And I'm Mark Byers, Sales Manager here at AJC. And today, we're diving into one of the most overlooked parts of the modular journey, land.
Because here's the truth, not every block is created equal. And in modular, the wrong block can cost you time, money, or even the whole project.
But the right block? It can set you up for a streamlined build, faster approvals, better ROI, and a smoother delivery.
In this first part of episode 9, we're going to walk through everything you need to know before you buy land, from zoning and services to slope, access, soil, and even council red tape.
We'll also share horror stories and success stories, clients who nailed it and clients who learned the hard way.
Let's kick off with number 1, zoning. You can't build if the council doesn't allow it, so always check if the land is zoned for residential use, or if you'll need a development application.
We've had people buy rural land thinking they could just drop in a modular home, only to find out they're in an E4 zone and need to meet environmental constraints, bushfire overlays, or minimum lot sizes.
Some rural blocks require you to build above flood levels, clear minimum land for asset protection zones, or even have a BAL rating of 29 or higher, which can add tens of thousands to your build.
That brings us to site classification. This is about the soil, and it matters. A Class M block, pretty standard. But a Class P, that's problem soil, reactive clay, fill or soft ground.
For a traditional build, that might mean expensive slab work. But for modular, it affects how we do footings, whether we use piers, steel frames, or raised stumps.
Then there's slope. Modular needs a flat pad or engineered footings. A gentle slope? No problem. But steep sites need excavation, retaining walls, and sometimes craning. A big cost factor.
So before you fall in love with that dreamy mountain view, ask yourself, how level is it? And how easy is it to access with a truck and crane?
That's the next one. Access. Our trucks and cranes need room. If it's a battle axe block, a narrow driveway, or a sloping road, you're in trouble.
We've seen jobs where we had to book traffic control, remove fences, or even shut down part of a street just to get the building in.
And every time that happens, it adds cost and delay.
What's more, a great block has services. Power, water, sewer. You don't want to be 80 metres from the nearest mains and digging trenches through sandstone.
If the block's unserviced, that's fine. But you'll need a plan. Off-grid power, septic systems, rainwater tanks, it's doable. But budget accordingly.
Then there's title and easements. Always do a title search. Look for stormwater pipes, sewer mains, power lines. You can't build over them, and in modular, you need clear access underneath.
We had a client whose perfect block had a sewer easement running dead centre. They couldn't build anywhere else on the site. Project cancelled.
And speaking of council, do your homework. Some LGAs are modular friendly, others, nightmare, delays, paperwork, and conflicting advice.
Look for councils that allow CDC, complying development. That's fast-tracked approval, sometimes in under 20 days. DA, that can take months.
If in doubt, ask us. We deal with councils every day. We know who's good, who's slow, and who needs a little nudge.
Now let's talk money. Just because the block is cheap doesn't mean it's affordable. A $200,000 site with $80,000 in site costs is a $280,000 block.
You're better off with a $260,000 block that's flat, clear, serviced, and ready to build on. Time is money, and headaches cost too.
So here's our checklist. 1, zoning. 2, site classification. 3, slope. 4, access. 5, services. 6, easements. 7, council attitude.
Get those right and you're golden. Get them wrong and you might end up stuck.
And don't worry, we're here to help. Every client gets a free site assessment before they commit to a build.
In part 2, we'll go deeper into the actual preparation, how to get your site ready for a modular delivery. Think excavation, piers, drainage, retaining walls, and the do's and don'ts.
And maybe we'll bring in some of the stories from clients who've done it all themselves. DIY site prep versus fully managed.
Because it's not just about the block, it's about the steps that follow. And when you do it right, modular is seamless.
Choose poorly, and you'll be chasing problems all the way through.
We'll also touch on the hidden costs. Soil testing, engineer reports, site surveys. People think they're optional, but they're essential.
So stay tuned. This series is about giving you clarity and confidence. because we believe building your dream should start with a smart, informed choice.
We'll see you in part 2. Welcome back to episode 9 of Building Modular Dreams. I'm Andrew Copley.
And I'm Mark Byers. This is part 2 of our deep dive into land and site selection. And today, it's all about what comes after you buy the block, preparing it for a modular delivery.
Because once you've secured a great piece of land, you've only completed half the journey. Now comes the work of transforming that patch of dirt into a ready-to-go modular site.
And if you think you can just drop a building on it, think again. Prep is key, and done wrong, it can delay your project and blow your budget.
Let's start with earthworks. Most sites need some form of excavation or levelling. Even small undulations can affect footing height, crane access, and water flow.
We've seen it time and time again. Clients skip this step or cut corners. Then water pools under the building, or one end ends up 600 millimetres higher than the other. That's when things get expensive.
Exactly. First tip, get a site survey and contour plan. These show you exactly how flat or sloped your land is. You'll know what machinery is needed and where the challenges lie.
Then there's soil testing, mandatory for footings and stormwater. If you're on reactive clay or fill, that changes your engineering requirements.
Once earthworks are done, the next big milestone is footings. At AJC, most of our homes use steel piers, concrete pads, or galvanised screw piles. The system depends on your soil and slope.
We don't use slabs, and that surprises people, but it's one of the strengths of modular. Elevated footing systems mean faster install, easier access, and less impact on the land.
A standard footing install takes about a day, but only if the land is cleared, the access is open, and the materials are ready.
And don't forget drainage. You don't want water sitting under your modular home. Use gravel, spoon drains, ag pipes, whatever it takes to keep water moving away from your pad.
Now let's talk retaining. On slope sites, you might need to cut and fill. That usually means a retaining wall, either timber sleepers or concrete block.
Retaining adds cost, but it's often unavoidable. And it's better to do it early than scramble once the building's booked for delivery.
Which brings us to one of the most overlooked parts of prep, access. You've got to make sure a truck and crane can physically get to your site.
We're talking a 19-metre truck in some cases and a 60-tonne crane. If you've got power lines, tight driveways, or trees in the way, it's got to be sorted before delivery day.
We once had to stop a job because the access hadn't been cleared. Cost the client $2,000 in wasted crane time. Lesson learned.
Don't be that client. If you're unsure, send us photos. We'll do a delivery assessment and advise what needs to be cleared, widened, or removed.
Let's talk services. You'll want a trench for power, water, stormwater, and sewer or septic. These trenches need to be in place before the building arrives.
And they need to follow code. Wrong depth, wrong location, or poor backfilling, you'll end up redoing the whole thing.
That's why we always recommend engaging a licensed plumber and sparky early. Have them walk the site and coordinate trenching in tandem.
For off-grid builds, this stage involves tanks, solar, composting toilets, and grey water setups. Modular makes off-grid easy, but only if the setup is smart.
Now, what about fencing? If you've got neighbours close by or a narrow site, you may need to temporarily remove a section of fence or get permission to crane in over their boundary.
Always check your title for easements and boundary encroachments. You don't want a legal issue over a 10-minute crane lift.
Another big one, retaining construction timelines. You can't delay delivery because the site isn't ready. Our factories are scheduled months in advance.
We give clients a checklist with dates: footing complete by week X, trenching done by week Y, site clear by week Z. Miss those, and you risk a $10,000 rescheduling fee.
So don't wing it, plan it, and stay in touch with your site supervisor or project manager. That way, if anything changes, like weather delays or engineering revisions, you can stay ahead of the curve.
And one more thing, insurance. Once your footings are in, you'll want site cover. That includes theft, fire, storm damage, especially if you're leaving materials on site.
Some clients assume we cover it. We don't. Once it's on your land, it's your responsibility.
So let's recap. Key prep steps. 1, survey and soil test. 2, earthworks. 3, footings. 4, drainage. 5, retaining. 6, services and trenching. 7, access and clearance. 8, insurance.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. We've got site supervisors, project coordinators, and tradie networks to help. Just ask.
In part 3, we'll take a look at approvals, council versus CDC, permits, bushfire ratings, and why our in-house team saves you weeks of paperwork.
And we'll tell you the truth about what councils really think of modular and how to get them on your side.
Until then, prep smart and don't cut corners.
We'll see you in part 3. Welcome to part 3 of episode 9. So far, we've covered land selection and site prep, 2 massive pieces of the modular puzzle.
But today we're diving into something that catches so many people off guard. Approvals. Yep, we're talking CDC, DA, permits, bushfire ratings, BAL zones, environmental overlays, all that red tape that can delay a project before it even starts.
It's not the sexiest part of the modular journey, but trust me, it's one of the most important. Get this wrong, and you're stuck in council limbo for months.
So let's start with the basics. In New South Wales and in other parts of Australia, there are 2 main pathways to get your modular home approved. A development application, DA through council, or a complying development certificate, CDC, through a private certifier.
The CDC route is faster, much faster. In many cases, you can go from submission to approval in 3 to 4 weeks. A DA, that can stretch to 3 to 6 months, sometimes longer if objections or conditions pop up.
CDC is what we aim for with most clients, but not every block qualifies. Your land needs to meet specific requirements: zoning, size, setbacks, bushfire and flood risk, environmental overlays, and more.
That's why one of the first things our team does is a CDC feasibility scan. We pull your title, your zoning certificate, any overlays, and assess whether CDC is even an option.
And if it's not, we don't stop there. Our in-house approvals team prepares a DA checklist and guides the whole process, including liaising with council planners, engineers, and bushfire consultants if needed.
Let's talk BAL, bushfire attack level. This is a rating from BAL low to BAL flame zone that determines what kind of construction requirements your site needs to meet. BAL 12.5 is manageable. BAL 29 adds cost. BAL 40 or flame zone, that's major.
Modular homes can still be built in these zones, but you'll need upgraded materials, extra insulation, ember protection screens, and sometimes sprinkler systems.
And let's not forget flood zones. If your block is in a flood-prone area, you'll likely need a flood assessment, minimum floor levels, and additional engineering. Modular makes this easier because we're elevated, but it still needs approval.
We had a client who assumed their flat block was safe until the council's new flood map showed a 1 in 100 year flood risk. That added $9,000 to the engineering and $6,000 to pier extensions.
That's why you can't assume. Every site is different, and councils update their mapping and policies constantly.
Environmental overlays are another trap. We're talking heritage zones, koala corridors, vegetation protections. You might need a tree report or a biodiversity statement, even if your block looks clear.
Our approvals team handles that. We coordinate arborists, environmental consultants, and work with council to negotiate practical outcomes.
Another big one? Setbacks. Every council has rules about how close you can build to the front, rear, and side boundaries. For modular homes, this affects delivery too, because we need space to crane the building in.
One job we did, the client was only allowed a 900mm side setback, but our 4.2 metre wide building needed 2.5 metre access. We worked with the certifier and council to vary the crane path. Problem solved.
It's all about knowing the system, and that's why going with a builder who handles approvals in-house is such a game changer.
Too many people think they can buy a modular home online, slap it on a block, and figure out the rest later. That's not how it works. Approvals need to be locked down before you go to contract.
We give every client a custom planning report, what approvals you need, what surveys or reports to budget for, and a realistic timeline.
And if you do go the DA route, there are tricks. Engage the council early, book a pre-lodgement meeting, address their concerns before submission.
And avoid the tick and flick plans. Generic drawings won't cut it. You need a properly documented package, site plans, elevations, basics or NatHERS, engineering, and supporting reports.
Some clients choose to manage approvals themselves to save money, but it usually costs them in the long run. Miss one box, and your application gets rejected or delayed.
And time is money. If your approvals take 6 months, your interest costs go up and your delivery slot might be pushed back.
Our fastest CDC approval was 11 business days. Our average DA time is 6 to 8 weeks, compared to 12 plus weeks for DIY applicants.
And we've built strong relationships with certifiers and council staff. That doesn't guarantee approval, but it means faster answers and fewer surprises.
Let's also talk change of use. Some clients want to convert a modular office into a secondary dwelling, or vice versa. That often requires new approvals and planning reassessment.
Same if you want to add a deck, veranda, carport, or even a second module later. Modular is flexible, but it still needs to tick all the boxes.
So here's our tip. Involve the approvals team early. Don't finalise your design until you know what's allowed. Don't order your building until you've confirmed your timeline.
And don't assume it's one size fits all. Your neighbour might have done it, but their zoning, overlays, or building codes could be totally different.
In part 4, we'll take you inside the factory. You'll see how we turn designs into buildings and how our modular process cuts months off your build time without sacrificing quality.
Until then, approvals first, then the fun stuff.
See you next time. In this part, we're taking you behind the scenes. You've sorted your block, prepped the site, and locked in your approvals. Now it's time to see what actually happens once your modular home enters production.
This is the bit that really separates modular from traditional construction. Because while site builds are battling the weather, trades, and supply delays, we're in a factory running like clockwork.
Let's start with planning. Before the first piece of steel is touched, our production team has already gone through a multi-point checklist. We confirm design specs, colour selections, plumbing layouts, and structural sign-offs.
Then comes procurement. One of our biggest strengths at AJC is that we pre-order materials in bulk. That means we're not chasing last-minute stock or waiting weeks for a delivery.
And because we're modular specific, our materials arrive cut to length, pre-measured, and matched to your design. That streamlines everything.
So here's how it flows. Week 1, framing and base. A steel chassis is built and laid out on jigs. That's your structural foundation. It's designed to last 50 plus years and handle crane lifts and highway transport.
Next up, we install wall panels. At AJC, we use 100mm pre-finished insulated panels for the external walls, coloured and grooved at the factory for a sleek architectural look.
These aren't cladding over frames, they're the walls. Strong, insulated and finished in one go. It saves weeks compared to timber and weatherboard.
Internal walls go in next. We add bracing, run the wiring, and get plumbing roughed in. All trades work together, side by side in one controlled space.
It's like watching a well-oiled machine. Flooring, windows, roofing, it all goes in without stopping for rain, scaffolding or council inspections.
Roofs are next. We use Bondor solar span panels. Lightweight, strong and fully insulated. Great for heat resistance, especially in Aussie climates.
After that, we move inside. Our cabinetry, tiling, painting and flooring teams go to work. The same teams do the same jobs every week, so quality is consistent.
Kitchens are a big one. Stone benchtops, soft close drawers, tiled splashbacks, all installed in the factory under supervision. No wet weather delays, no missing tradies.
And every building goes through a quality control stage after each step. We inspect, document and approve before moving on. If something's not right, it doesn't pass.
What's amazing is the speed. A full build might take 8 to 12 weeks in factory. For the same spec, a traditional builder would be 8 to 12 months.
And while we're building, your site is being prepped. So when the unit is ready, we deliver and install within days, not months.
Let's talk about transport. Each module is loaded onto a custom trailer. We use professional transport crews who specialise in oversized modular buildings.
And when it gets to site, crane it in, connect the services, do the final touches, and you're in. Some clients walk in within 48 hours of delivery.
That's the magic of modular. Consistency, speed, predictability, and we've built systems to make sure the process is smooth from start to finish.
We've even got live production tracking. Clients get updates, photos, and milestone reports as their build moves through each stage.
And our customers love that. It builds trust and keeps them in the loop.
Let's also talk upgrades. Because while we standardise the build process, the design options are flexible. Want a feature wall, larger kitchen, custom tiles? It's all possible within a system.
That's the key. You get choice without chaos. Unlike a traditional build, where change orders cause massive delays, our upgrades are pre-approved, quoted, and locked in before production starts.
Which means fewer surprises. No, oh, the tiler didn't show up. No, we ran out of stone. It's all handled.
And because we're in a factory, our waste is lower, our efficiency is higher, and our QA is tighter.
Want proof? Come for a factory tour. Clients who see the process walk away amazed. It's nothing like what they imagined.
In the next part, we'll talk about delivery day, how we coordinate transport, crane lifts, connection of services, and those final handover touches that turn a modular building into a home.
And we'll share a few delivery day stories. Some perfect and some where things didn't go quite to plan, because being prepared is everything.
We'll see you in part 5. We've covered design, site prep, and the factory process, but today it's go time. Part 5 is all about delivery day, the moment your building leaves the factory and arrives on your site.
It's one of the most exciting days in the entire modular journey, but also one of the most tightly managed. If one thing is off, weather, crane booking, access, it can quickly turn into a logistical nightmare.
Let's kick things off with the schedule. Once your modular building finishes final QA in the factory, it's shrink-wrapped, prepped, and staged for transport. A date is booked with our delivery team, and everything starts moving.
The truck carrying your module is a big unit, often close to 19 metres long. That means the route is carefully planned in advance. We look at road widths, turn-in circles, clearances, and any low-hanging power lines.
We've had jobs where we had to temporarily remove power poles, others where a neighbour's tree had to be trimmed. Everything is reviewed during your delivery access check weeks before the actual date.
If access is tight, we might use smaller modules and stitch them together on site, or we crane over fences or buildings with a larger crane. It all depends on your block.
Speaking of cranes, let's talk about the lift. This is the moment your building goes from truck to foundation. Our crew coordinates the crane, truck driver, and install team with precision.
We use certified crane crews who've worked on hundreds of these jobs. They understand balance, lift angles, wind restrictions, and safety protocols.
A typical lift takes under an hour, but it's a high-stress hour. Everything has to be right. Wind speeds under 20 knots, ground stabilised, traffic management in place if needed.
Once the building is positioned, it's lowered onto the footings. Whether you've got steel piers, concrete pads, or screw piles, our install team checks level, bolt alignment, and structure fit.
After it's secured, we start the external connections. That means power, water, sewer, and stormwater. If you've already trenched and prepared your services correctly, this part is smooth.
If not, delays. We've had clients forget to complete trenching or dig it in the wrong spot. Suddenly the plumber is on hold and you're paying the crane crew to wait.
So double check your site readiness. We provide a detailed checklist before delivery day. Tick every box.
Once services are connected, the team installs external steps, verandas or decks, if they're part of your package. Some get done the same day. Others are installed within the next 48 to 72 hours.
Internally, the final checks begin. We walk through the home to make sure everything's intact from transport, no shifting, no panel damage, no cracked tiles.
We also test power points, plumbing, lights, switches and appliances. Everything has to be working before we hand it over.
If anything's off, our service team fixes it fast. No waiting for weeks. Our goal is to get you move-in ready without stress.
Now, here's what most people don't realise. From crane to keys can take as little as 1 day. That's right. We've had clients walk in the same afternoon.
That's only possible if you followed the checklist, kept your site clean, and scheduled your utilities in advance.
And while we love a smooth install, let's be honest, not every delivery is perfect. We've had last-minute storms, cranes stuck in mud, road closures, even a kangaroo holding up traffic.
True story. One delivery was delayed by 2 hours because of a rogue roo that wouldn't leave the street. But hey, that's Australia for you.
What matters is preparation. The more detailed your planning, the smoother your delivery. That's why we assign a dedicated delivery coordinator to every project.
They're your go-to contact. They schedule the crane, book traffic management, confirm with trades, and walk you through the whole process.
And when handover happens, you're not just handed a key. We provide a full walkthrough, a maintenance manual, and a contact sheet for any post-install questions.
And of course, you get your warranty paperwork and compliance certificates.
Let's also talk emotions. We've had clients cry tears of joy on delivery day. For many, it's not just a building, it's a dream realised.
And it's not just homeowners. We've delivered buildings to businesses, community groups, schools, even aged care providers. Each one brings a sense of transformation.
So when that truck pulls up and the crane gets into position, soak it in. You've earned it.
In the next part, we'll talk about life after delivery, how to maintain your building, what to expect in the first few months, and how clients are living in and loving their modular spaces.
Because delivery day isn't the end, it's the beginning of the modular lifestyle.
See you in part 6. Delivery day might feel like the end of the road, but really, it's just the beginning. In this part, we're talking about what life is actually like once you've moved into your modular building.
This is where modular shows off its real-world value, because it's not just about how fast you built it or how clean the site was, it's how it performs over the next 5, 10, 20 years.
And the good news, it performs brilliantly. Our customers consistently tell us their modular homes feel more solid, more energy efficient, and easier to live in than they expected.
Let's start with climate control. Because of the insulated panels, solar span roofing, and double glazed windows we use, these homes hold temperature incredibly well.
One customer told us their winter electricity bill dropped by over 30% compared to their previous house, and they didn't even have to run a heater overnight.
And the soundproofing's great too. The panel construction naturally deadens noise. We've had customers with teenage kids say they've noticed a huge difference compared to traditional plasterboard builds.
Another big win is durability. Because we pre-engineer the structure, every joint, every surface is measured, aligned, and sealed in a controlled environment. That means fewer cracks, fewer movement issues, and better finish over time.
And because these are low maintenance materials, the upkeep is simple. A hose down here, a quick silicone check there. You're not repainting every 2 years or ceiling cladding.
For example, the external panels come with a factory finish that holds colour and resists UV damage. So unless you want to change the look, you won't have to repaint for at least 10 years.
Internally, most clients go for water-resistant laminate flooring, tiled wet areas, and stone bench tops. Again, all built for daily wear and tear.
What about plumbing and electrical? All of it meets Australian standards, and because we build in modules, everything is accessible for future service.
Say you want to add a new light fitting or run a cable, your electrician won't be cutting through plaster to guess where things are. It's all mapped.
Speaking of upgrades, this is where modular really shines. Need an extra room later? No problem. You can add a second module without knocking down walls.
We've had customers add a home office, a kids retreat, or even a second dwelling out back, all built to match their existing setup.
And because everything's done to plan, your expansion connects seamlessly, visually and structurally.
One customer in the Central Coast added a new studio 6 years after their original build. The new module was built, delivered, and connected in under a week.
And they didn't have to move out, relocate tenants, or go through 12 months of planning. That's the kind of flexibility modular gives you.
Let's talk about value. Modular homes are holding their resale value better than ever, and in many cases outperforming traditional builds.
Why? Because buyers are waking up to the benefits. They see the quality, the sustainability, the energy efficiency, and they're willing to pay for it.
And in rental markets, they're a dream. Fast ROI, minimal maintenance, fewer call-outs. One of our investors makes over $900 a week renting out 2 modular units on a dual occupancy block.
And let's not forget Airbnb. These are Instagram-worthy homes with smart layouts and beautiful finishes. They rent fast and at a premium.
But whether it's for lifestyle or investment, one of the most common things we hear is, I wish I did this sooner.
Because living in a modular home feels different. You notice the quiet. You notice the thermal comfort. You notice the light. It's not just 4 walls. It's well thought out.
We had one retiree tell us she's sleeping better, spending less, and feeling more comfortable than she did in her 300 square metre brick home.
Another customer in regional Victoria said his modular build is the only home he's ever lived in that stays cool in 40-degree heat without air conditioning.
So when people ask, is modular just a trend? We say no. It's a better way to live, and once you've experienced it, there's no going back.
That said, things can still go wrong. Maybe you get a leak, maybe a window seal wears out. That's why our aftercare team is available to troubleshoot.
Every home comes with a warranty and post-delivery support. We don't disappear after the crane rolls out.
And because our buildings are standardised, getting spare parts or materials isn't a nightmare. We've got access to everything that went into your home.
Let's wrap this part with a quick list. Top 5 reasons people love living in a modular home. 1, lower energy bills. 2, quieter, more comfortable spaces. 3, easy to maintain. 4, upgrade ready. 5, higher long-term value.
Coming up in part 7, we'll wrap the episode by looking at where the modular movement is headed and how communities, developers, and even governments are embracing it.
Because this isn't just about one home, it's about changing the future of housing in Australia.
See you in the finale. In the final part of episode 9, we're zooming out. We've spent the last 6 parts taking you step by step through the modular journey from choosing a block to living in your new home. But now we want to look at the bigger picture. Where is this movement going?
Because make no mistake, this isn't just a trend. Modular construction is shaping up to be one of the biggest shifts in the Australian housing industry in decades. And it's not just builders and buyers getting on board, it's developers, councils, investors, and even government departments.
Let's start with demand. We've never seen anything like it. Housing affordability is at crisis point. Construction costs are sky high. People want faster, smarter, more affordable options, and modular delivers.
We're getting inquiries every day from people who never would have considered modular before, professionals, first home buyers, retirees, young families, even NDIS providers. And they're not just curious, they're ready to build.
At the same time, developers are waking up to the potential. We're talking full modular estates, streets of architecturally designed homes, all built off-site and craned in within weeks.
We've already partnered with developers on projects like this, coastal lifestyle precincts, boutique over 55s communities, and affordable housing projects funded by local councils.
And the appeal is simple: speed, control, and cost certainty. You don't have 12-month build timelines, you don't have weather delays, and you know your margin up front.
Councils are shifting too. Some are streamlining their planning processes, others are actively encouraging modular to meet housing targets. We've seen grants, pilot projects, and even modular first zoning strategies.
Take regional Australia. Modular has huge potential to ease the housing shortage in towns where traditional builders are booked out for years. We can deliver a home in 12 weeks and have people living in it the same month.
And let's talk design. The old stigma, modular is ugly or temporary, that's fading fast. Our buildings are modern, customisable, and engineered for long-term performance.
We've got homes on coastal blocks that look like beachside retreats. We've got rural homesteads. We've got minimalist city studios. Modular is no longer one size fits all.
And the tech behind it keeps improving. Smarter insulation, smarter energy use, water-saving features, home automation, and of course our VR design studio is changing the way clients interact with their home before it's built.
We're also seeing modular being used in ways people never expected. Think schools, medical clinics, short-stay accommodation, disaster relief housing, even pop-up retail. Wait.
The flexibility is massive. Build fast, relocate later, adapt to demand. It's changing how organisations think about space.
And then there's sustainability. Modular is more efficient, less waste, fewer trucks, fewer emissions, smaller site footprint. We build what's needed, nothing more.
That's resonating with a new generation of buyers. People want smarter, cleaner homes. They want to live well, but they also want to do it responsibly.
And the investment case? It's stronger than ever. Modular homes are appreciating in value. Investors are using them for dual occupancy, Airbnb, long-term rental, even staff accommodation.
One of our clients just ordered their 3rd modular home. They started with one for the backyard, added a second for rental, and now they're developing a 4-unit site on the coast, all modular.
That's the future. Not just one home, but modular portfolios, modular streets, modular suburbs, designed well, built fast, lived in proudly.
And we're just getting started. The industry is evolving every year, and AJC Modular is right at the forefront, investing in better systems, better tech, better service.
So what can you expect going forward? More design options, faster lead times, integrated finance, government-backed modular grants, better pathways for approvals.
And more public awareness. We're talking expos, builder showcases, YouTube tours, even shows like Better Homes and Gardens featuring modular designs.
We want to remove the mystery. We want people to feel confident building modular, not nervous or unsure.
Because we know what happens when they take that leap. They move in, they live well, they tell their friends, and they never look back.
This series, Building Modular Dreams, has been about more than buildings. It's about the people who believe in something better, who are ready to build smarter, live freer, and take control of their future.
And we hope we've given you the tools, the insights, and the confidence to be part of that movement.
Whether you're building your first modular home, your third investment, or your next dream retreat, we're here to help.
Thanks for joining us. And as always, build smart, live free.